The relationship between Neoplatonism and magic varies depending on the philosophers who follow under this philosophical umbrella. Yet, we have a turning point in the Neoplatonist view of magic with Iamblicus, or Iamblicus, using the ancient Greek pronunciation, where the contemplative primacy of Plotinus and Porphyry is contrasted by the importance given to Theurgy, meaning working with the gods, and symbola, magic tokens and words. Let's learn more together about the two main and contrasting Neoplatonic takes on magic, exploring the philosophy of Plotinus and Iamblicus. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Angela Puca and welcome to my Symposium. I'm a PhD and a religious studies scholar, and this is your online resource for the academic study of magic, paganism, shamanism, and all things occult, including Neoplatonism. This video is part of a big collaboration on Neoplatonism with friends and fellow scholars here on YouTube. Make sure to stick around until the end to learn more about it. On to our topic now. Neoplatonism is a philosophical system founded in the 3rd century by Plotinus, or Plotinus, using the ancient Greek pronunciation. A central theory of this philosophy is the emanation theory, the idea that everything is one and comes from the one, a divine source that creates the manifested word because of its overabundance of being, and becomes increasingly material and further away, albeit still connected to the divine source, through a series of progressive emanations that eventually lead to the physical realm of manifestation. I have another video on Neoplatonism where I explain the theory of emanation that I'd recommend you watch before this one, especially if you are unfamiliar with this concept. An interesting tenet in the emanationist cosmology that is pertinent to today's episode is that every activity in the world is somewhat double, insofar as it possesses both an inner and an outer aspect. For example, the inner activity of the sun, or nuclear fusion, has the outer effect of heat and light. Or the inner activities of a tree that depend on the kind of tree it is. And the Neoplatonists would have talked about an inherent formative principle, the logos, will determine the kind of fruits the specific tree will be bearing. Or again, thoughts and feelings internal to human beings express themselves in speech and actions. In each case, the outer effect is not the purpose or the end of the inner activity. The first principle of reality in Neoplatonism is conceived as an entity beyond being, transcending all physical reality, of which very little can actually be said, except that it is absolute unity. However, we know empirically of its effect, the entire universe. And we must therefore suppose that one is the carrier of, or identical with, a boundless sort of singular activity or energy. With these premises in mind, let's briefly overview the leading players in Neoplatonism and their views on magic, to then dive deeper into the contrasting perspectives on the matter held by Plotinus and Iamblicus. Let's start with the founder of Neoplatonism, Plotinus. Even though Plotinus was once attacked by a magic spell which he promptly returned back to the sender, he showed no interest in magical techniques, as he dismissed them in favor of and as a distraction from philosophy. However, he thought that nature itself was magical, filled with divine powers and sympathies that are always present, ready to be activated by the magus who knows how to switch them on. Porphyry, a student of Plotinus, has similar reservations about practicing magic, though he never doubts its reality. The turning point in the Neoplatonic attitude towards magic occurs with Iamblicus, who turns his full attention to Theurgy, literally God working, to ascend to the divine by first bringing a god down into the material receptacle. Proclus, the last of the great Neoplatonists who wrote in Greek, left a summary of his ancient theory of magic on the priestly art, which survives only in a digest. Proclus follows in the footsteps of Iamblicus in the importance given to Theurgy and is the first Neoplatonist to show an acquaintance with the Chaldean oracles, the writings upon which Theurgy is based as a religious endeavor. Let's now analyze in more details Plotinus and Iamblicus, as they present the two core and opposing views on magic in Neoplatonism. In both cases, their perception of magic is founded upon a specific philosophical framework. Plotinus argues that the human soul is directly connected with its higher self, and that the higher soul doesn't quite descend into the body, but rather illuminates it or sees its reflection into matter. So, in a way, the soul is confined in this lower world while also being beyond this world. The highest aspect of the soul participates in the same nature as the intellect and the forms. Yet, human beings are in a state of unawareness of their true nature and need to study philosophy and contemplation to reascend to that higher state. Such endeavor is the product of personal contemplative and philosophical efforts. Iamblicus has a very different view of the soul compared to Plotinus, and he expresses that in his De Anima. In this book, he argues that the human soul is completely separate and inferior to other kinds of souls above it. For instance, divine souls, angelic souls, heroic souls, and demonic souls. This inferiority also implies that the soul is detached from the intellect. The contrasting viewpoints between Plotinus and Iamblicus represented the turning point in Neoplatonism and opened the gates to the practice of magic, and more specifically Theurgy. Theurgy is the ritual act whereby the human soul is freed from its body and carried higher up to the gods. Iamblicus uses Theurgia in opposition to theoria, Theurgy in opposition to theory or contemplation, the latter indicating the most important way of ascending to the divine for Plotinus. After all, if the human soul is always participating in the same nature of the intellect as Plotinus thought, then ascension to a higher state is the most desirable outcome for a human being seeking a connection with the One or the divine source. Conversely, if human souls and higher souls entities are separate and the former has an inferior nature, then working with entities that participate in a higher nature can allow human beings to participate in their divinity too, both in being and in agency. Now, Plotinus does talk about magic, and he elaborates on that in Enneads 4:30 to 45. He starts by talking about astrology, which he accepts into his system, yet still framing it in service of contemplation. Plotinus adopts and adapts the Stoic conception of universal sympathy and cites Plato's Timaeus by explaining that the universe is a single living being that contains all living beings within it. And as a living being, it is attuned to its parts in such a way that any activity in one of its parts can affect another, even at a distance. Since everything is ruled by this universal sympathy, we cannot say that the celestial gods hear our prayers, but rather they respond through sympathy. as other parts of a whole do, almost as a mechanical response to a triggering action. Plotinus also adds that while the influence of celestial bodies in astrology occurs spontaneously from the universe, magic occurs through the agency of the magician, yet still according to the same cosmic principle of sympathy. However, magic is only effective against the lower aspect of the soul and cannot affect the soul's rational higher aspect. Hence why contemplation is still of primary importance, as it allows human beings to ascend to a higher state that remains unaffected by magic. Iamblicus, as we know now, has a very different take on the matter. He discusses the working of theurgic rituals in the De Mysteris, a response to Porphyry's arguments against the different tenets of those who believe in the power of sacred rites. In this text, Iamblicus agrees with Plotinus in his views that the celestial gods have bodies, yet they are unaffected by them, as their connection to the intellect and divine origin is unlimited. He disagrees with Plotinus when it comes to the interaction between human beings and the gods, as he sees the two as different classes of entities and believes that the gods do care for us, respond to our prayers, and become involved with us through theurgical rituals. Also, behind this magical technology are metaphysical principles and cosmological structures. The cosmic and hypercosmic is arranged in series or taxes, so that, for example, a scorpion carved on an amulet belongs to a series that includes the earthly arachnids, both natural and artificial, but rises beyond them to a super-celestial divine scorpion and many others in the grades of being in between, one of them being the Scorpio seen among the constellations. Knowing where the celestial and super-celestial scorpions live, the Magus will also know which things within reach are like them and which are not. The things to call the gods down or fend them off. Stones, plants, colors, odors, tastes, sounds, and everything that resonate sympathetically with the divine or drive it away by antipathy. So, to sum it up, the two main views on magic in Neoplatonism are endorsed by Plotinus and Iamblichus. Plotinus thought that since everything is one and our role in our material manifestation is to ascend to that oneness, that is the divine source we are part of, magic is a distraction from the primary contemplative endeavor that will lead to that desired goal. He still believes that magic is real and works through the universal mechanism of sympathy and antipathy. However, magic can only affect the soul in its lower aspect and not in its higher one that we can ascend to through contemplation. Iamblicus doesn't agree that we are of the same nature of the gods and higher souls. He thinks that we are different entities that can interact with each other to affect change and ascend through ritually induced involvement with higher participants in the manifested universe. So this is it for today's video. Please don't forget to check out the other videos part of this collaboration on Neoplatonism. Philip Holm from Let's Talk Religion has made a video on Neoplatonism, Islam, and Sufism. Dr. Justin Sledge from Esoterica tackled Neoplatonism and Gnosticism, Plotinus against the Gnostics. Sevi from Seekers of Unity will address Neoplatonism and Kabbalah. Dr. Danatrell from The Modern Hermeticist is covering the Platonic Philosopher's Creed by Thomas Taylor. And finally, John Vervaeke made a video on Neoplatonism and 4E Cognitive Science. You will find the links to all these videos in the info box. Don't forget to check them out and say hi for me in the comment section. Also, as you know, Angela's Symposium is a symposium. and as such, it is a crowd-funded educational project. So if you have the means and want to keep this project going, I would really appreciate it if you'd consider supporting my work with a one-off PayPal donation by joining memberships or my inner symposium on Patreon. That's an amazing, fantastic community that I'm really proud of. We have monthly lectures, one-to-one sessions with me, a Discord server, a book club, and lots of other perks depending on your chosen tier. You can also super thank me using the super thank option. And other than that, you can also support my work by smashing the like button if you like this video. I wouldn't want you to smash it if you didn't, but I am hoping that you did. Also, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, because sometimes YouTube is naughty and will not notify you when I upload a new video. And share this video around. Share it with your friends, with your family, with everyone, with the world. You know, the world might be interested in knowing more about the academic study of all things esoteric, so why not? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about today's conversation. And what are you? Are you Team Plotinus or Team Iamblicus? And can you guess what team am I? So thank you all for being here and stay tuned for all the academic fun. Bye for now.